I'm James Walker, and this is Real Talk, Real People. This is the podcast that turns the mic over to everyday people to hear what they have to say about the issues and problems we face as a society. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this week. This is the podcast that turns the mic over to everyday people to hear what they have to say about the issues and problems we face as a society. My guests this week are Daniel Hunt and Denville Lawrence. They are being honored for their work, the work that they have done in their communities and what they've achieved in their communities. They are part of 100 Men of Color who are being honored this month in Connecticut. Let's get right to them and hear why they got involved and why they're being honored.
I'm Daniel Hunt, and I'm one of the honorees for the 100 Men of Color Award this year.
And well, first of all, I know our listeners and for people who do the YouTube version have seen you twice so far. Once you were here because you were appointed commissioner at a very young age, and then you received a presidential merit award, I believe is what you
Yes,
received,
Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award last year.
achievement award last year. So you were on for that, and now you're being honored as one of the 100 Men of Color. What exactly is that organization, and what does it mean for young Black men here in Connecticut?
So it's by June Archer and the 1128 Entertainment, and it's the organization that honors 100 men and 100 women of color that have been businesses, community leaders that work in government and different things that's in the community, and they do a lot of events like that every year to honor people of color. And what it means to me is that I get to set the example for other young men that's following me and the path that I'm in now.
Now, you're being honored for things that you've done in the community and so forth. Talk to us a little bit about what you have done, how this has helped the community,
Mhm.
and we'll go from there.
Yep. So I'm being honored for my work in the community as what I've done in New Haven and Hamden. I started the first community walk program in New Haven in 2017, expanded that program to Hamden 2 years after. I created the first youth concert in Hamden, as well as started some mentoring programs when I was working in the school system in New Haven. So last year, or no, I'm sorry, earlier this year, we started a our first ever youth Sounds of Summer youth rap concert in Hamden, and we brought in artists from Hamden, yeah, young high school artists, and they performed, and we gave them a chance to perform their music, and it was a great event. We had about 50 to 60 kids and families that came. We gave free food, free cookies, you name it.
And now, when they came out, are they being? Is it a contest? Do they win something, or do they just get a chance to display their talents and hope that they can get community support
Yep.
to further lift their hopes and dreams that they might become this rap star or this entertainer?
Mhm.
Is that the hope of doing something like that?
Yes, so it's basically just to give youth a chance to perform their music, so they can be like the future P. Diddy or Kanye West and, artists that they listen to.
Okay, and for one of the things that I wonder about is when they're listening to these artists and when they want to become these entertainers or big stars, is it the money? Is it the what is it? What do they expect is going to come out of this chance to become a rap star? Say, what do they hope comes
The
out?
opportunities. So I know one kid that told me that, after this, he wants to perform more and then, get his name out there so he could get more opportunities to perform and get notarized by, artists of today's era.
And And what about education? I noticed that one of the that's the mission of the Hundred Men of Color. It's also their vision to
Mhm.
actually support and help uplift young Black men of color so they become self-sufficient. So, is that the message that you bring to young people when they go? I mean, when they come to these affairs, or when you go out to the community to talk with them?
Yep. So I just try to, always uplift and encourage our young men to, be what they want to be and, always be active in the community and be leaders and mentors.
Now, some young Black men may look at you and say, okay, well, he has this, he has that, he has the means to do this and that, and here comes your friend. Um, so let me get back to my to my train of thought and question. So when they come to you, um, how do you convince them to leave the rap alone and look toward education and becoming a better person? And I'll let you answer that question right after we say hello to our new guest here. And if you would introduce yourself, I would appreciate it.
Yes, Denville Lawrence. You want to give title?
Yes, just
Okay.
tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're here.
Okay. Yeah. So my name is Denville Lawrence. I am a HCM or Workday Solutions Architect for Yale University, adjunct professor at the Business School at Southern Connecticut State University, as well as founder of Rada Noir Society and Connecticut Men of Color Flash Mob. So I'm here today because I was nominated for and honored for the 100 Men of Color with June Archer.
Right now, Daniel, my listeners and viewers are familiar with Daniel. He's been on a couple of times, so they're very familiar with him.
Yeah.
What is it exactly that you are being honored for, and how did you get involved?
So I think that so I met June Archer last year at the first annual Connecticut Men of Color Flash Mob. The premise of the Flash Mob event was to bring together professionals, students, um, entrepreneurs of color, that and obviously those that wanted to participate, both allies and anyone that wanted to support, to unify us as a collective and provide a network or platform for all of us to come together and share ideas, be inspired by one another, and create lifelong connections. So I met June Archer at the first annual or the inaugural event of my event last year. And then he found out a little more about me. And I think he's honoring me because of the culmination of the things that I do. I'm a nationally published researcher. I'm an activist. I'm a solutions architect working in technology and human resources, as well as an educator at Southern Connecticut State University. So I think he's honoring the culmination of everything that I'm doing.
Now, when you're out doing these things that you've been honored for, do you find that other young Black men are receptive to you, or do you find that you're going to have to kind of cajole them, pull them in, so to speak? Do they, do they respond to you immediately, or do you have to kind of, you know, convince them that they should get on board with you?
Yeah, I think they respond to me immediately. I mean, it depends on what event you're talking about. I think, for example, I do, and I'm on the second annual planning for the multicultural explosion at Southern, working with Diane Brown over at Southern's Multicultural Center, looking to honor students from multicultural backgrounds that are just doing phenomenal things that otherwise wouldn't get mentioned for their work academically or for persevering. And so students are people, men of color, are generally receptive. If they're not the first time around, if we're talking about the flash mob, they're generally seeing the videos and the content, and I get a bunch of DMs like, "Oh man, I can't believe I missed this
You
event,"
missed
or "I
that,
can't
right?
believe I didn't pay attention to the advertisements and stuff like that." So we generally have this year we almost tripled our numbers in reference to registrants, and then we practically doubled our numbers in terms of people that showed up.
And Daniel, when you're out, because you're a young guy,
Mhm.
okay, so I'm sure that when you're talking to other young guys, they kind of look up to you as an example. How do you tell them to get involved and why they should get involved?
So I
Why
tell
should they
them,
be Daniel Hunt?
well, just get involved, you know. I always try to get involved in different things, different opportunities, you know, just like with Mr. Lawrence. I had reached out to him when I saw that he was doing a flash mob, and I was like, hey, I wanted to be involved. I think this is a dope idea. And I was, you know, I'm gonna spread the word. And you know, when I went to his event, I met so many other men from all over Connecticut, and I was able to connect and just you know, just build that bond with them.
Do
So
you do you find that when you guys gather like this, that other black men are happy this is happening? And I don't know if happy is the right word, but are they um, unified? You know that this
yes.
something like this is happening, and we can all get together and do this. Is that the feeling that you get when you get together with them?
So it's like black men coming together on a positive note, right? It's not like we're coming together when something bad happens. We're coming together when something good happens, and it's good to see. You know, you get to network, you get to build connections, and that's what I feel like we all have done that
Yeah.
day, especially at the after party. It was just an amazing experience. Like I'm so excited for next year already.
Yeah.
We didn't even get past 2023 yet.
We're going to take a quick break here. I want to remind our listeners that we're talking with Daniel Hunt and Denville Lawrence, and we're talking to them because they're being honored for their achievements and what they're doing in their respective communities. And they're one of 100 men of color who are going to be honored later this month here in Connecticut. I also want to remind people about my memoir, Dead Windows, My Long Journey Out of Domestic Violence. If you are watching the news, folks, you know that this is a serious problem and it is one that must be addressed. This book is about my childhood, but I'm sure many of you have had similar experiences. You can pick up a copy of my book at Amazon, Apple Books, Google Books, and Barnes and Nobles. Now let's get back to Daniel and Denver. You mentioned this flash mob. This is the first time I'm hearing about this flash mob. So
Yeah.
how do you get this word out? Because I pretty much, I keep up with the news and so forth, but maybe I don't keep up as much with community events. So how would somebody like me know be, to get involved with this flash mob and that is coming up, and that how do I get involved with that? How would I know?
Yeah, I think one, following me on Instagram is where I disseminate majority of my content. So you can follow Bron, Bron, and Noir, Noir, on Instagram, or you can follow the number one, Mr. Lawrence on Instagram. After that, I pretty much disseminate content on like a weekly basis on both Instagram pages, and folks are generally just sharing. I look at the share data analytics and generally have about an average of like 50 shares per content that I'm posting. And
Mm-hmm.
it really just spreads word of mouth. The next thing I do is disseminate information on LinkedIn. And then I have like my original folks that came last year, and I have them spreading word of mouth. Last year, we did have Keith Coons cover the event from WTNH.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to kind of pin him down as he's so busy this year.
Yeah.
But I also worked with Adrian Jefferson with the city of New Haven to get some contacts for coverage of the event, both trying to advertise on the front end and then coming to cover the day of the event. I think there was a lot of focus and concentration on the potential hurricane that was coming that weekend. So I think that's where a lot of their attention was diverted to, or just obviously other pre-existing events. So it's hard to pin someone down for that day this year. But I'm always looking for additional media outlets and contacts to continue to spread the word for this positive event.
Well, it shouldn't be that difficult. I mean, I know you have Keith Koontz over at WTNH, but what about WFSB? Our other local news stations?
Yeah.
We have five local daily newspapers here in Connecticut. Have
Yeah.
you reached out to them?
I had a whole list. It included some of the radio stations and news stations, and I basically contacted them 2 weeks and then a week trying to confirm who was going to come prior to the event. I received these contacts both from Adrian Jefferson and an internal public safety contact at Yale University. But I think it's all predicated upon their existing schedules, whether I'm not quite sure if the content is interesting enough for them to cover. But I would love to officially or concretely make some contacts to let them know of next year's event so that we can really get the Connecticut community to show up.
Well, I could certainly give you some contacts in the news media
Yeah,
because, quite frankly, if I was still senior editor at the New Haven Register, this would not be an issue. And it
yeah,
was when I came to New Haven Register, I found out that events like this were not, publicized or whatever. And for me, I kind of wonder why. But we need more me or more
yeah,
us, I should say,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
in the news media. And
Yeah,
because you can understand, if you're not a person of color, you might not just be that interested in what's going on. So
right.
I will make sure that I send some names your way, and you're certainly free to use my name. They might say I hate him. I'm not going to do anything, but I think you'll get a good response from some of the people that I send your way. So, Daniel, what's next? What do you envision for next year for you? You've been honored this year for what you're doing now. What do you hope to bring next year? What's going to be new?
So I just follows God's plan. I pray all the time and I ask God, I said, what do you want me to do next? And I just follow his path. I every day is different for me. Every month is different for me. Every month I see myself getting new opportunities. So I just was appointed last month as the board of directors for Highville Charter. And I just see myself just growing in that position and just growing with what I'm doing now.
Okay. And what about you? What do you hope to do different or bring new to what you're doing next year?
Yeah, I think just continuing to try to grow and scale Brown and Noir's activities throughout the year. So we do have something special coming in the spring. Certainly having some preliminary conversations with folks at Yale, some additional sponsors. We're going to launch, hopefully, the first Women of Color flash mob to
Oh,
represent professional women, students, etc. So for right now, on November 2nd, we are planning at Southern Connecticut State University, the Multicultural Explosion event again, opening up more honorees and students of color there, as well as looking for panel speakers to speak to students on various aspects of their careers and things of that nature. Again, the whole premise of the event is to take your Southern student and expose them to a network of professionals so that they can see where their glass ceilings, how far the glass ceilings can be
sure.
raised.
But
Yeah.
I just want to go. Not everybody who is going to be or would be part of 100 men of 100 men of color, I would think would be college educated. I mean, we have a lot of men out here who are good men, and
Mm,
they're not college educated. How
yeah.
do we get them? How do we get them on board and bring their talents? Because everybody has something to offer. So
Yeah.
how do we bring them into the fold and say, hey, you don't need a degree to be part of us, to
Yeah.
be somebody who can help build the community and so forth? How do you bring them in?
Well, certainly the whole premise of Brown and Noir Society as an organization is to bring together. Brown stands for brown in French, and Noir is of course black. And it's really to unify us to say, hey, this person has this particular skill. They work in this industry. Meet this person that works in this industry. Let's collaborate together on this new project or this new type of event. And that certainly already happened organically 3 to 4 times last year, and then I was excited to come back after working with a videographer, coming back up the hill at the day of the photo shoot, and just hearing guys step up in front, giving their business cards, telling what they're about, and then going ahead and letting the next person come up and do the same. And so that happens organically at every single event. So my events are inclusive of folks from all sorts of background, entrepreneurs, academic folks, folks that are just don't know where they want to be, right? Students. And so it really is predicated upon bringing us together and whatever that looks like. Find a space for yourself, carve it out, network, and grow, continue to grow yourself or learn and be inspired by other people.
And one question I didn't ask, of these people who show up, are they of all ages? I mean, do
Yeah,
they range, say, from
Mhm.
20 to 70, or are they just
absolutely.
probably like around 20, 30 years old? Or do they range in age?
Yeah, yep, they certainly range in age. It's actually funny. The first 5, 10 minutes there was about 3 to 4 men that showed up from Yale, and none of us knew each other. We all work at the same place, and none of us knew each other. So it just really gives way to the fact that there are people working in spaces, in industries, in this whole macro economy of Connecticut that pass by each other and don't know each other's names, right?
Or what
And
each other is doing to
absolutely,
or are involved in it to help the community and so forth. Huh,
absolutely.
I can see that. Uh, we're getting ready to wrap this up. So, Daniel, any last words? What can you tell us?
I just want to say thank you for having me on your show today. I'm really excited to be honored as one of the 100 men of color. It's a true honor. I don't take that lightly because I'm being recognized, and so many other people could be recognized, but I was chosen and nominated. So I just thank the people who nominated me, and I thank Mr. Archer for wanting to have me at the event this year. I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Well, like I said, we've had you on the show. This is your third time around. I'm assuming you're going to contact me next year if the show is still running and say, hey, I've just got this and this and that. So I'm sure you'll be back. And what about you? Any last words from you?
Yeah, I just want to share the same sentiments as Daniel. I think when you have your head down and you're just trying to create with a passionate mission to open up access for your people, to open up access for things that you wish that you had yourself when you were younger, you're not really expecting to be honored. You're just expecting to do the work and be fulfilled by
Be
the things
fulfilled
that are
by it.
happening and the results of your work. So I think it's just like tremendously profound to have a platform like this where we can be honored, we can talk about it, we can obviously continue to market ourselves because it is truly pure good work. And I'm just so thankful for that. I cannot wait until October 27th for the 100 Men of Color.
You've been listening to Real Talk, Real People. If you would like to be on the show, if you have an idea for the show, give us a call at 203-605-1859 or drop us an email at realtalkrealpeoplect@gmail.com. You folks have a good week, and we'll talk again next week.
Some childhood memories don't fade away. And some stories take decades to tell. Dead Windows, my long journey out of domestic violence.